Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast session of Market Kingpin Episode 1. Today, our topic is modern day writing. Many of us believe that writing just died in this digital age. But when we talk to published authors like Awais Khan, we're then bound to change our thoughts on this perspective. I warmly welcome a British Pakistani author of In the Company of Strangers, No Honor. His debut novel has been acquired by Hera Books and was published last month. He did his schooling from Shuefat School and bachelor's from Western University London and then master's from Durham University London. Listeners, we have none other than Awais Khan with us today. Hello, Awais, and thanks a lot for giving us time.
Hello, hi Shaheer. It's really nice to be here, and thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to this
And
discussion.
thanks a lot. I'm much more excited just because I think it's been 4 years when when I saw you, you were taking the initiative of building a writing institute in Pakistan. So first of all, tell us how it's going right now.
It's going really well. So what I've done is that obviously with the pandemic, things have been a bit tough for educational institutions. So I went all online, and I haven't
Hmm.
gone back, even though that
Okay.
COVID is a little has eased up a little now. But yeah, I feel that with online it opens up a whole host of other
Mhm.
opportunities, and so many people from outside of Pakistan can also join in, not just outside of Pakistan but outside of Lahore. So that's the actual aim that I have, that my courses should be accessible for everyone all over the world, and since they're so affordable, they're not very expensive, so that makes them a little attractive for people who otherwise may not be able to afford to pay like 200 or 3000, sorry, 2000 or 3000 pounds. So yeah, it's going well, can't complain.
Okay. To the new writers, for example, I met many newbies that who are just having these talks like, what is traditional publication, vanity publication, and oh, self-publication is now very easy. Then what is self-publication? Can you please elaborate these three terminologies to the people?
Well, yeah, so basically, how it goes is that traditional publishing is the one that is the most sought after, and which basically every writer, every agent dreams of, because that is where most of the money is. So traditional publishing would be any publisher. It could be one of the big five like Penguin, HarperCollins, or any of the independent publishers, or any small publishers even. So they
Mhm.
basically take on your book and they invest in it. They create the cover, they edit it, they hone it into a proper product, and then they put it out in the market. They have contacts and sales with bookshops, with online platforms. So basically, going with a traditional publisher has its advantages, many advantages. Vanity publishing, on the other hand, is something very different. Whereas traditional publishers will pay you for to and buy your book, vanity publishers will ask you to invest money into your book, and they will promise you the world, like getting the book out in bookshops and this and that. But ultimately, it's literally just a printing service. So in order, so to avoid vanity publishing should be avoided at any cost. So at every cost. So basically, the other option that you have is self-publishing. So instead of going with a vanity publisher, it's much better to go ahead and publish the book yourself, because that way you get to keep all the profits, and nobody will be there to fleece you. So that's a very good option. There are some really successful self-published authors out there who are doing really well. So it's that's a very booming industry market as well.
Okay. So, what are the most important things to know if if I want to write a book? Then, if I want to write a novel, I have a good story. So, what are the most important things? Like, is it the word count? Is it something else to keep in mind and then jot throughout?
Well, to be honest, if you're a writer, the first thing is that you need to have a love for writing, because that is what's going to sustain you. because there's a great deal of there will be a lot of rejection in this industry. It's a very subjective industry in any case, and some people will like your work, other people will not like your work. So it's a bit of a subjective industry anyway. So the love for writing is what will sustain you, and that is all you need to have in order to be a writer. Yes, I mean courses help and everything, but if you're a reader, if you're a very dedicated reader and you're passionate about writing, then you can always, you can be a writer too. So yeah, so that's all you need basically.
Okay, my question is just related to it. Like you started the writing institute, like you coach the new bees to write. So, so that's quite intriguing for me. That how can a writing? It's a creative part, I think. So, this question clicks anyone's mind. That how can a writing coach help a person to be a writer?
Well, you see, writing is a very solitary activity, so it's just you. So what happens is that when you take a course, it's not just the instructor actually, it's the whole environment that comes up. So you will have people, like-minded people, who will also be looking forward to, looking forward to write and everything. So you get to build a sense of community, and that is what really pushes you on. That's what motivates you. I mean, if someone is teaching you writing, they don't have to be the biggest best-selling author or something. It's just that they have a good knowledge of writing and they have good knowledge of teaching. You need to be able to teach as well. Knowledge in itself is not everything. So if you have the knowledge, but if you also have the ability to teach, then you're a good teacher. So that's why these courses are important, because at the end of the day, they bring like-minded people together, and that's how you end up learning. That's how you get engaged into discussion, and that's how writing becomes a less solitary activity. And obviously there are some rules, general tips that writers usually follow or need to follow in any case. So that usually helps when it comes to writing courses. So yeah.
Okay, so my next question is this: that how the modern authors are. You can say that, for example, take an example of you. That how do you see writing in modern days? As I mean, people are more into like watching stuff other than reading the whole paragraphs and the 120,000 words and all this stuff. If the time came for audiobooks, and then now more graphical side the world is moving on. So how do you say see these things?
Well, I think that there is room for everything, and that has been proven by how popular books still are. Yes, people have shorter attention spans these days. There are lots of technological distractions, like for example, mobile phones, social media, and all of that stuff. But even then, the love for reading is still there, and you just have to see the statistics from the book sales and everything to see that people read a lot. Yes, it may be that they want easier reads or fast reads now, but that doesn't mean that they don't like reading at all. So I think that technology, books, Kindle, ebooks, they can all happily coexist as they have been. So if you like movies, sure. I mean, I love to watch TV shows. I'm a huge TV buff, and I love movies as well. I mean, I'm often at the cinema, but that doesn't mean that that I don't like reading either. So I take out some time to read as well. I mean, so yeah, that's the thing. You can basically do everything if you want.
So that's a very interesting word you use, that the technological distractions. I hope
Yeah.
IT listeners are not listening this. Okay, so I was preparing for your podcast, and was researching questions, and I found one question that is very much interesting, and I don't know what would be the answer of that question. Then that is that how editors calculate that a specific writing is good or not. Like
Well,
a literature agent, for example, if you hire a
yeah.
literary agent, how is he calculating? What are his metrics to calculate it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's impossible to hire a literary agent because you have to go to them and they basically sign you up. So that's how it works. But what they're looking for generally is that basically it's all about good writing. To be honest, when it comes to editing, if you have that gift of storytelling, then you can do whatever you want. You can write whatever you want. S- Essentially, it has to be something, you could write the best thing in the world. I mean, your writing could be exemplary with all those vocabulary words or whatever, as people love these days. But if you're not a good storyteller, then it'll be a very flat book. People will not be interested in it, no matter how wonderful the writing is. And to be honest, these days readers don't are not very interested in vocabulary words anyway. They call it purple. Editors are not interested. They call it purple prose. So adjectives, adverbs, you have to avoid them at all costs. I mean, as much as you can. So I think good writing is basically good storytelling, especially when you're writing fiction. So yeah,
Okay, so my next, there are two questions. Like, uh, in
yeah.
Pakistan, there are very less opportunities, or even zero opportunities, for writers to publish their manuscripts. Like, once a person said, I think 6 months ago, my friend told me that there is a Kissa publication, a Pakistani startups who help new manuscripts to be published. Uh, I want your take on Kissa publication as well. And I want to ask you that, are you planning to expand TWI in some sort of publishing aiding service or something like that in future?
Well, I have never heard of Kissa publication. I'm sure they're really good. I don't know. I'm not sure about anything. I've not really heard of them before, so I don't know what to say to that. But I would say that what's going on is that publishers in Pakistan, the smaller ones that are emerging, the ones that are privately owned and all of that, they're doing well. I mean, they're doing the best they can for their authors. But the other publishers who are taking money and are not doing enough for their authors, I think one should steer clear of those. But you see, the problem is, at the end of the day, the there is no money in Pakistani publishing. You might
Mhm.
be you may have signed up with the biggest publisher in Pakistan, but then when you look at royalties, they're basically peanuts. It's because, first of all, publishers in Pakistan, the bigger ones at least, I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't seem like they're interested in royalties as such. And secondly, there is no culture of buying books in Pakistan. People want the author to gift them books. They want to get free books. They want to steal
Mhm.
books, as in PDFs. They would like PDFs. They will insist on, and then if the author stands up to them, they will gaslight the author into saying that, you should be ashamed of yourself for asking for money for your writing. Unless and until writing is considered as a proper career in Pakistan, this will keep on happening. Writers in Pakistan will get nowhere unless and until the people of Pakistan start admitting that this is actually an industry and this is something that they need to support. You cannot go into a grocery store and pick up stuff and say that, you want it for free. It's the same thing for writing. You just can't go up to an author and ask for a free copy. They've put their blood and sweat into it. You can't just go ahead and ask them for a free copy. That's just not just unethical, but it's very, very unfair. So until this happens in Pakistan, when people start respecting writers and respecting books, I really can't see Pakistan progressing at all when it comes to publishing. We are a country of over 220 million people, but unfortunately, you can see how minuscule our publishing industry is. That a book that has sold 1,000 copies in Pakistan is considered a national bestseller. So this is how sad the state of affairs
Mhm.
is in Pakistan. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I just read that you have thousands. You have now crossed the number of 1,000 students in TWI. While when you teach your students, what is the aim in their minds? Like, how they're watching their career in the next couple of years. Do they want to be the authors or the blog writers? Like, I am a technical writer. I'm in software industry. I'm just because I know that with this field I can take care of my family financially. So
Hmm.
what are they looking forward to their careers?
Well, I have taught over 10,000 people actually. 10,000 students have taken courses with the Writing Institute. The thing is that
Mashallah.
thank you very much. The thing is that people from all walks of life take these courses with different expectations. So some people will want to progress their career as writers, but often people just want to write as a form of catharsis because they find that they just want to put down their feelings. So a lot of people write poetry because of that reason. So it totally depends on what your expectations are from the course. I mean, I have students who have gone on to get published, who've gone on to get good book deals, who have been very dedicated into getting towards getting published, and they've managed to succeed. They found agents and stuff. But there are people who've gone on to get published in newspapers and magazines, which they wanted, and there are some people who are writing for themselves, which is also okay. So it's totally up to the person. That's what I always tell my students, that there are no shackles involved in this course. So when you take a course with the Writing Institute, there will be no shackles. You will not be forced to do anything, because then that defeats the purpose of creative writing. At the end of the day, creative writing has to be creative. So if you're not feeling creative, then no force on earth can push you to write, because you're just not feeling creative. So that's the thing, there will be no shackles if you take a course with the Writing Institute. So yeah.
That's I think a best coaching advice for any newbie writer to just
Thank you.
give a good shine to the creativity. So
Yeah.
my next question is the main part that many writers are concerned about. Even when I was preparing my manuscript, it's just a manuscript right now as well.
Hmm.
I was concerned more about the word count.
Hmm.
Many of the people say that novels should be 80,000 words and the other should be 110,000 words, or some say that now the numbers are reducing. So, what's your take on word count?
Uh, well, it totally depends once again on the author. If the author believes that this book deserves to be at 100,000 words, then sure. But if you've written a 150,000 word magnum opus, then it better be good, because literary agents and publishers will be spending all that time reading it. So if they don't like it, they'll be very they won't be very
Mhm.
happy. So it's totally, I think anything from 65,000 words onwards constitutes a proper novel. So actually 60,000 and over. So anything like that is definitely a novel. So after that, it's
So
totally up
six,
to you. I mean, sorry.
so 65,000 words is the main, the minimum target of
Uh,
any writer.
well, yeah, you could call it minimum, I think, because the mean, like the average, is generally 85,000. That's what the usual is length is for most novels.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's all from the questions, but the
Hmm.
last one is what is the best piece of advice you could give to someone who is just starting out on a writing journey?
Um, my best piece of advice would be to not give up, because if you've stepped into this industry, then please know that you will have to have very thick skin, because rejections will come hard and fast, and the success will be. I mean, for some people, success happens immediately, but for most writers, it takes a long time to get successful. So don't give. If you're really committed to being a writer, then don't give up. Keep going, keep writing. If it isn't the first book, then it'll definitely be the second book that gets picked up. So keep at it and don't give up. That's, I think, my best piece of advice for anyone.
Okay, then my advice would be to join a Awais Khan in the Writing Institute and go on.
Thank you.
That will be from
Thank
my side. So
you.
that's all from the podcast today. Thank you very much, Awais. It's
my
a really good session with you, and
my
hope we'll meet again and with new
absolute
topics as well. Thank you
absolutely,
very much.
Shahir. Thank you very much for having me, and it was great being here. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.